Hey, it's Priscilla Williams here. I hope you are having a wonderful start to your Saturday. So, I'm out running some errands and I was thinking about some things and I wanted to share this with you. So, right now we're living in a time where people are losing hope. They're losing energy, they're losing momentum, and they really need a word from God. They really need people like me and you to pour into them, to help them see past where they currently are in their lives. And so, as I was thinking about the event I have coming up on Monday, I have a Women's History Month celebration coming up on Monday. The theme for the celebration is Women in Marketplace Ministry. And as I think about that, when I was growing up, you did not see women in the forefront the way you do now. You did not see women, speaking and coaching and, preaching and leading. You just didn't see it. It was mostly men when I was growing up. So the only motivational speaker, inspirational speaker I knew of back when I was young was Mr. Les Brown. And I mean, you had a few people, but that were women, but most of them were men. Um, and so I say all of that to say that we have to move from out of the four walls of the church and waiting on someone to choose us. When I was growing up and when I was young in my faith, I thought you had to wait for the pastor to acknowledge you, wait for you to get an opportunity to share your gifts and use your gifts only in the church. And so the Bible says that we are to go into the highways and byways to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. And it wasn't until I began to show up and grow in my faith and to really get around others who were leading in the marketplace, that's when I began to see a shift in my life and how I began to think about my gifts and my purpose being used in the world. And so it really is just great to see women and men stepping up to their rightful place, because so many of us have been stuck or we've been limited by beliefs that has caused us to think that we have to wait on somebody to acknowledge, to choose us, to ordain us, to say that we're called in order for us to step out in our rightful place. And now God is using his people and he is shifting, the atmosphere, and he is allowing everyday people like myself and like you to use our gifts and to impact the world. He's allowing us to be able to see and to utilize our gifts and to really encourage others. And so on Monday, we have a panel of powerful women who are using their gifts, their calling, their expertise, their knowledge in the marketplace. And so I'm so excited about this conversation because I know for so long, and even people I know to this very day, will not step forward in the gift and in the calling that they know God called them to do more. And so we've been so limited, and we've been in such this almost brainwashing kind of situation where it's like, no, you don't step out unless somebody call you to step out. You don't speak up and you don't use your gift unless someone in leadership at your local ministry or something like that sees your gift. No, when we all leave this earth, we're going to stand before God, just us and God. And we're going to have to give an account for what God is doing through us. And we're going to have to give an account on God calling us and if we did the assignment that he has called us to do. And so I want to encourage somebody today that has been really in this place of not being able to move forward because you're wondering what others are going to think. You're wondering what the people at your local church is going to think. You're wondering what your friends and family are going to think. Well, who is she to do this or that? Is she a minister? Who is that? Who is she to be starting a prayer call? Who is she to start a women's ministry? Who is she to go out and do these things? Who is she to write a book? Who is she to, put herself out there as a speaker? Well, who are you not to? Let me ask you this question again. Who are you not to? Because, listen, you don't need any approval from any people. The only thing you need is the approval of Jesus Christ, the calling and the mandate and the vision from God. And then you step out and step forward. Stop waiting on somebody to pick you. Let me say that again. Stop waiting on somebody to pick you. Stop waiting on somebody to say, oh yes, you're called, you should do it. What if that person never stepped forward and say you're called, you should do it? So you're not going to do what God has placed on your heart to do? He has told you to do because you're waiting on somebody to pick you? Stop waiting for someone else to put you on a platform. Create your own platform. Create the platform that God has given you and reach and impact the world, aka the marketplace. When I first started in this thing, years and years ago, in 2011, y'all, we in 2025. I am not new to this. In 2025, in 2011, I remember sharing with my coach Mo, like, I want to have women's conference. I want to speak. I want to write a book. I want to do all these amazing things. God had placed this in me, but I was stuck in my own head, in my old way of thinking, and that, well, if I do this, then people gonna say, well, who am I to do this? If I do this, who's gonna show up? Who gonna come? My very first women's conference, I had 75 people in Chicago. My second year women's conference, I had 100 people. My third year women's conference, I had 150 people. And when I say we had church, we had church. You hear me? Listen, I wasn't no ordained minister. I didn't have no, formal ministry education license. None of that stuff. Didn't have no doctorate, honorary doctorate. Didn't have any of that. All I knew is I had a vision and I had people to impact. God had placed coaching in me to be able to coach other women and help other women see their gifts and their calling and their strengths and live out their lives that he designed for them. And that's all I had. That's all I stood on. So nobody called me, picked me, or chose me. God called me, picked me, and chose me. I remember my first radio show back in Chicago. Christian radio show. I came on every Thursday night, ministering the gospel, bringing on guests. Before radio show podcasting, it was like radio podcasting. Before it was popular, before people knew anything and did anything, I was doing these things because all I knew is that God had a gift. And I remember God saying, I have a calling for you, Priscilla. And so I'm encouraging somebody today. Stop waiting on somebody to pick you. Pick yourself.